Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. It's work time, and it is orchid related because we're starting on the staging. I obviously won't get it finished today, but because it's got to be done in stages because of the stain that needs to dry. But got my workbench in with its oolders so that I can got my piece of wood that we bought absolutely ages ago, which should whoops, it will go in there once it's open wide enough. And then these little plastic bits should bite on. I'll sort that out in a minute because I need two hands, and what hangs over the end I can saw. I've got my power drill, I've got my electric screwdriver, I've actually got my drills. I'm not sure I'm going to need that today. I've got my drills, I've got something to draw straight lines with and something else to draw straight. Do you know, I had a search around. I don't possess a pencil, which is obviously much better than a pen, and I've got my new fine point saw, which again we bought that some time ago, never been used, but it should cut this soft timber neatly without ripping it to pieces. So that's the kit. I'll set the camera up on the tripod. I may speed the whole thing up because it is repetitious, but this piece of wood is the same size, or roughly the same size, as those plates on the bottom. And what we're doing technically is so that I can screw into cross grain rather than end grain. Screwing into end grain is not very strong. Screwing into cross grain is. So two pieces, one each side like that, another piece that side, screwed into the leg, and then the base plate screwed in to these new pieces of timber, as well as the bottom of the leg, because at the moment these plates on the bottom have just got screws in end grain onto the leg, which is why one of them failed. There's just not a very strong joint. So this bottom plate will go back on, but it will be screwed on to these new pieces of wood, which will be fixed to the legs. Now somebody did give me a nice tip. Some of you viewers do come up with some good stuff. As I've just explained, there'll be a new piece of wood each side of the leg, which means screws are going to come in from both sides. So I need to make sure they don't bump into each other. So my idea is that on one side of the leg we'll have screws sort of in a diamond shape perhaps, and on the other side of the leg we'll work on four corners so that they don't touch each other in the middle. I wouldn't have thought of that until I tried putting a screw in, and it wouldn't do up because it bumped into one of the others. So yes, the idea is to cut up the pieces, drill the holes, and possibly that will be it for today, because the next thing to do would be to coat up the pieces. I'm not sure I want to do staining today because I've done my watering that I need to do. I've done outside, I've done the desers. Time's getting on, and I've got no guarantee it's not going to be a sunny day. And if the sun hits that roof, I'm not working in the sort of temperature I get in here. So I don't even know how much time I've got. It's coming up to 10 o'clock at the moment. So I'll probably just get the cutting and the drilling done today. You know, there's 8 pieces to do, which means there's 4 holes to drill on each piece. So that's a lot of drilling, you know. 4/8 are whatever. I haven't got a calculator. You know, so it's a fair bit to do. And you know, as I've said before with these tablets, I get tired quite easily, so, and this is a little bit physical. The drilling's not too bad. The sawing, you know, I can always take a break, can't I? Anyway, I'll stick the camera up on the tripod and I may well speed it up with some music. We'll see how we go. So I'll be back. Right, so let's see how we get on then. Just forget which way these handles go. Need to be jammed up too tight. Right, now we need, what do I need? This timber needs to be cut the size of the plates. So what we need to do is hold it there, and mark the edge of the plate. Like that. This doesn't have to be exact. And then obviously we've got our thing for drawing straight lines. I should have a set square really, but I'm blowed if I can find it. I'm sure I've got one somewhere. Anyway. And then what we'll do is once we've cut this piece off, we'll use that to mark all the others. That way they'll be the same size, won't they? So they'll either all be okay or they'll all be wrong. Golden rule, mark once, cut once, measure twice, cut once. Oh, I forget what it is. I'm not a flipping carpenter. Hopefully these plastic things are going to hold this timber firm enough that the saw isn't going to dislodge it. Now let's see how this saw works. It should just breeze through this sort of timber really. To move over here a bit, or bang the elbow on the Cymbidiums. Right, so let's see how we go then. Oops. Always difficult to start. One. I was hoping to avoid these sort of tears, you know, but that's quite a neat cut. You know, it almost looks like it's been sanded. So I'm pleased with that. That was the objective of buying a fine tooth saw. I'll get the hang of these handles in a minute. Come on. Right, there we go. Yes, I'll mark some of these as we go, won't I? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we didn't measure that very well, did we? Because this piece of wood was supposed to be for these 8 pieces, and we've got that much left over. I think it was because I assumed they needed to be 4 by 4, when in fact that plate is not 4 inches. But it doesn't matter. There's a little bit left over. The timber costs next to nothing, literally. There we go. Put the shield back on. There's a knack to doing that. There we go. Oh. So the thing is, if you try and slide the saw into the shield and miss, it'll go straight across your hand. So you do it like that. Keep it clean, keep it in its case, ready for 10 years time when I use it again. I don't worry about mess on the floor. I've got a handheld, you know, Hoover, battery powered Hoover that'll just whiz around the floor, so that's not a problem. Right, so now we've got our 8 pieces. We've got to think about drilling holes. The hardest thing about drilling these holes is going to be holding the pieces of wood, but they should lock into place there. And the holes are going to be going down near the centre of the wood, because it's only the width of the leg that they're going to screw onto. So where did I put that? So we've got a fraction under 5 centimetres. If I say 4.5 centimetres, then I know the holes are going to be in the right place. Half of 4.5 is 2.25. I'm just trying to think of so I'm just trying to be clever here. If I get my piece of wood and do that, and then do that, then we found the centre, haven't we? So that crosses the centre. I wonder how much. It would be really handy if I had a piece of wood that size, then I could mark the lines and make sure the drill holes come within it. I'm going to break off because I've got one of these out in the front shed that's not been built, and I think there are some small pieces. Yes, I'll be back, that'll make life a lot easier. Yeah, I thought though that there's some bracing pieces, these bits, and they are the same size as the legs, so I can now use that as a template. Inside the lines is where the drill holes must be. You see what I'm getting at? That's my theory, what I have. So the idea is we don't need tape measures. We do it by eye, and we put that in the middle of the piece of wood and just put 2 faint lines. The drill holes must be inside there. And of course we need to do it both sides, don't we? Do we? No. That'd be silly. More coffee. Oh, actually I haven't had one recently. You might have to do a top up. But yes, the idea is that the holes get drilled so that when the plate is on the leg it's all centralised. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be better if it just sort of looked a bit neat and tidy rather than all hanging off the edges and scruffy. But you do realise I'm doing this the wrong way, so we'll start doing it the right way now. These have got to go on the leg so that the cross grain is going to be screwed in from the bottom. So this needs to be there, it needs to be that way. So that one's right, these need doing again. drilling the holes I need to make sure I'm looking at it correctly so that the holes get drilled in the proper place. So the holes I'm drilling now are to fix these plates to the legs. So that's the bit I'm drilling for. The problem I've got is I'm not sure I've got the right size screws yet, and obviously the holes need to suit the screws that are going to go in. I shall go and have a look in a minute. If not, I'll drill pilots. I know this is all being done by eye, but it can't be far off. You know, if you're looking at the top, the bit hanging out here and the bit hanging out here need to be the same size, don't they? So it's relatively easy to do by eye. Right, that's them marked, that came in useful. Now I'm going to break off again and just take out one of these pieces and see what screws I've got. The screws got to go through this piece of wood and almost through the leg. And these pieces of wood are roughly the same size as the leg. So the screw needs to be almost double the size of this, almost. A little bit short. If it actually goes through, it's not the end of the world, because there'll be another piece of wood the other side that it'll just clip. So it wouldn't be a bad thing. So I'll break off, we'll be back. Right, this is a box of screws I bought a long time ago. Now, these are going to be the right length, just on double, allowing for the heads to bite in a bit. So that would be the right length, and would you believe it? They're all M4. Now I've got to find out what M4 means as far as a drill size is concerned. My main worry is that there's 3 screws per piece of wood. There's 8 pieces of wood, so 3/8 are that's if I use 3 screws. I was thinking of doing them like that. 4 screws is a bit over the top. All these are doing is giving me security for the base plate. That's the important bit. These just need to be held against the leg firmly. 3 screws should do it. That way I can do opposites. Yeah, so I can do there, there and there, and then on the other side do there, there and there. Then they won't bump into each other. But 3/8 are 24. There's nowhere near 24 screws in there. I suspect these are going to be too long. Well, yes they are, but all they would do is go into the piece of wood the other side. So I could use those. Perhaps use the shorter ones in the corner there and the longer one there on the side that's only got 1 screw. Let's see how many we got. 2, 3, 4, because I've been dipping into this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 and 12. So between those 2 boxes I've got my 24 screws. That's nowhere near enough to finish it, because all that does is get these bits fixed to the legs. I then need new screws to fix the base plate to these pieces, and that needs 4 screws per base plate. And again, they're going to need to be that size basically, so we will have to go and get some more screws. Do you know what these would do? Well, these aren't the same size, are they? Do you know what they are? Unless I've just put some in the wrong. Yeah, they are very slightly shorter. I put one in the wrong box, obviously. That happens. So these are a little bit shorter. Would they be enough to go through that plate? There's going to be 4 of them. That wouldn't be bad, but why, you know, why skimp? Just get some more screws. Right, so we now need to sort out what an M4 is as far as my drill box is concerned. I bet one's metric and one's flipping imperial. Be just typical. I've had these drills a long time. So what have we got then? Wood drills, don't we? Looks a bit big. I presume they've got what they are written on them somewhere. If they have, it's not very clear. Life is always difficult, isn't it? Never easy. Right, I'm going to go with the next size down. And that drill looks like it's been burnt, so it might not be very good. Right, let's have a look at my screw size again. You can do it by eye. But if you yep, that drill will do, providing it's going to work. As I said, it looks like it's been burnt, which means it's been forced and overheated. That would be me, you know, nobody else uses my stuff. So this drill might not be very good. We might need to get another one. That size, get a new one effectively. Let's get our pieces of wood out of the way. And we get the drill out. Bit of an overkill, this drill for just drilling this size hole, but that's what I've got. Away. I do believe this is I remember it's got a self-locking chuck, so it needs to go in there. Lock. So we hold that down and then it allows you to do that up tight, like that. And we need to plug it in. I've got power just down there, so that works. That's a good start. Now what we need now is these need to go in this way so that all the holes don't go into my workbench. Which don't need to be gripped ridiculously tight. Right, so I will roughly mark where the holes go. You can go there, there, and there. And from now on I'll do it by eye, because I don't need to mark them every time. It doesn't matter, they don't have to be exact. All I need to do is make sure that I do 4 of them like that, and 4 of them like that. Yeah? So that they're coming in from hang on, just think, Roger, think. That's one side of the leg. The other side of the leg, yeah, the other side of the leg would be like that, so that the screws don't bump into each other. Yes. Right. How bad is this drill? Oh, like going through butter. Oh goody! Right, so this isn't going to take long. Good. Right, so we need 4 like that. Whoops, not done up tight enough. Right, so that's it. That's all the drilling and cutting done. And not too much blood. This is quite incredible. If that was Hannah, she'd probably bleed for nearly an hour. She's on a much stronger dose of blood thinners than I'm on. And bearing in mind I take 2 a day, and I took one at 8 o'clock, and it's now 10:30ish. It would be at like full strength, and I mean that sealed up almost immediately. So I don't really have the worry. I'm on blood thinners, yes, but it's a low dose. So I don't need to worry about leakages quite so much. It did worry me a lot when I first started taking them, that I would you know, be worried about you knock yourself, get a little nick, and you just can't stop it bleeding. You hear of these things. Right, so there isn't anything else I can actually do today. Now the idea with these now is to actually put a screw partially in one of the holes and tie a piece of string to the screw and get somewhere in here where I can hang stuff, and then I can hold the screw and apply the stain without getting it all over me, and then just leave it hanging on the piece of string to dry. That's the thought. But it needs a lot of preparation to start using the stain. You know, I need I've got to go and get the carpet, which is out in the carport. I need to change. The stain all needs stirring, and I've got to find the brush. I don't even know where it is. I've only got one. And the time is getting to the point where the sun could be coming round. So I don't want to start that if I can't finish it. And while I've got the brush in the stain, it is highly likely that I'll want to do some other staining, like perhaps a couple of the bonsai stands. While I've got the brush dirty, I've got the tin open, I've got the carpet led down, it'd be nice to do some of the outside stuff. The bonsai stands will just get bought in here. I'm hoping to just get away with 1 coat to freshen them up. The idea would be to turn them upside down, do the base and the edges of the base, yeah, not the bit that faces upwards, the bottom that sits on the ground and the edges, and then the underside of what would be the top, just the underside. Then when it turns up the other way, the base will be on the bottom, the edges are already done and dry. I've only got to do the base. The top, the underside's done, I can do the sides and the top, and obviously the leg. So that would be the idea. But as I said, I'd hopefully do a couple of the bonsai stands at the same time as having the tin open. And if I really feel energetic, I could go and put a coat on the table. The table's flat. It just needs a quick brush off for cobwebs and bits and stuff, bits of tree, and coat it up. It's rough timber. It doesn't, you know, it's not going to get sanded or anything. and it'll probably take 3 coats to cover that because it's already got some stain on it which is brown. So we may do that at the same time. As I said, once I've got my old clothes on and I'm geared up to doing some staining, I shall probably get in the mood and do quite a bit all in one go. But that's not today. Today it was cutting up the timber, drilling the holes, and effectively, to please one of my viewers, making a start. Oh, the comment was quite abrupt, but jokingly, not anything. And basically my reply was going to be, well, I've got a spare brush. It's not like this is the only thing I have to do. I do have to do other stuff. Right, so we've made a start. I'm going to put all the tools away because there will be a bit more drilling to do. When the base plates come off, at the moment they've got holes that allow screws to go up into the bottom of the leg. They will need 4 new holes to screw into these new bits of wood. Yeah, so there is a bit more drilling to do. The actual wheels, the screws that hold the wheels on the base plate, they'll go back in exactly the same holes. They're quite a firm fixing anyway, so it's just the base plate fixing to the leg that is the weak point. That's the bit we're trying to strengthen up. And all this because the patio's not flat. It's got ridges and bumps, and with the weight of all the plants on there, you move the staging around and it's jarring those legs quite badly. And as I said, one of them collapsed. After I'd brought the plants in, one of them just collapsed and threw all the plants off, and it wasn't good. It also threw one of my trays of Deesers on the floor with all the water in it, and that actually, several of the Deesers came out of their pots, and within a few weeks they failed, so they didn't like that at all. Right, so should be able to lock that in place and just undo it. Yeah, I love it when people design things that are good. So there we go. I should get all this lot put away, and I should get the Hoover out and have a clear up, and then I will sit down and have a coffee. Workbench has got to go back down in the shed. I don't want that cluttering the place up in here. Until the next lot of drilling, which will be after these have been stained and everything, they'll need 2 coats. So you know, it's going to. I might be able to get it done in a day. I have done staining in here before when it's a reasonable temperature to dry the stain, not ridiculously hot that you can't work in here. I can get 2 coats on because it's touch dry in a few hours, and the second coat can go on after 4. So as long as it's not a sunny day, I can do 1 coat in the morning and then another one sort of after lunch, and then leave it to dry overnight, ready to fit. So until these bottom plates come off, there's no more drilling to do. And at that point, as I say, there's just the 4 holes to drill in the plates, take the wheels off, drill the holes, and then it's just a matter of screwing it all together. And then while the plants are off, we put a coat of stain on the staging to freshen it up, and I'm hoping I only need 1. And I'm not doing underneath all the slats, I'm just doing what you can see from the top. Too much like hard work. Right, so that's me playing about, doing a bit of work, which is making a start on the staging. It's overdue, and I would like to get the plants outside. We're not heading towards autumn yet, we're not getting the cool nights yet, so they've got plenty of time to get those spikes induced. And with no shading on this grow room and you know the sort of weather we've had, they're getting more than enough light in here. As I said, I know people that grow their Cymbidiums in greenhouses with shading, so they're getting a hell of a lot more light than those people, and they have nice Cymbidiums with nice flower spikes in shows in the spring. So yeah, I'm happy that they're getting enough light. getting them outside, it's going to make this place look enormous. It'll also allow me to get at all my plants without having to keep moving it. So, coming soon. See you next time. Bye for now. Oh, and I'm bound to get lots of comments making suggestions of how to do things better. It's already done. It's no good telling me how to use a saw. I've already used it. And I'm happy with what I've just done. It worked okay for me. See you next time. Don't forget the old thumbs up. Bye for now.